And to talk more about that, we are joined. I'm joined on the show by Pinky Anand. She's a senior advocate practicing at the Supreme Court. She's also a former additional Solicitor General of India, and also by Captain Alok Bansal. He's director of the India Foundation. Thank you both for joining. First, to you, Captain. Could this be seen as a big diplomatic victory for India?
See, there is no doubt that it's a big achievement for India to have succeeded in getting him extradited, because this shows that US has understood the gravity of the situation and has collaborated, because Tahawwur Rana tried his level best to prevent this extradition. He even went to the extent of telling that he will not be given a free trial. He felt that the Indian prisons were quite bad and he'll be tortured. So what is important is that India has succeeded in convincing the American authorities that the situation in India and Indian jails is okay. So once he comes here, there'll be greater revelations which will be of immense use to us and which can be used in the international community to highlight his involvement and Pakistan's involvement in the case.
All right. Pinky Anand, if one were to understand the legal process, now that he's being brought back to India, what happens next in terms of the legal process?
See, ultimately, the purpose of bringing back any criminal or accused of an offence is that they will face proceedings within the criminal courts in India. And that is why an offence that has occurred in India, obviously, in this case, it's the 2008 Mumbai attacks, but the extradition process itself is over, and he is being brought here, so he will be tried in accordance with law for the various offences that have been held against him. He's been held to be a fairly major conspirator and co-conspirator along with Headley. I think that is a matter of ultimately facts and merits, but ultimately he's going to be tried for criminal cases in India in accordance with the Indian law, and I think justice would be served in due course.
Okay. And Captain Bansal, given the fact that Tahawwur Hussain Rana was not found guilty on one count of providing material evidence, material support for the 26/11 attacks in a US district court, how would that benefit him, or would that affect the case? And also, if Pinky Anand could come in after the Captain Bansal.
See, I don't know what is the legal position, but I don't think so any decision of the US court is binding on Indian courts.
Okay.
And Indian interrogators would interrogate him and get inputs. What is important is that his interrogation will reveal facts, some missing links as far as 26/11 conspiracy is concerned. More significantly, his extradition, his conviction will prove Pakistan's involvement. Very often we forget that Tahawwur Rana was actually an officer of the Pakistan Army. He served in the Pakistan Army as a medical officer in the rank of captain before emigrating to Canada. This whole process could be a conspiracy of the ISI to send him to Canada and from there to US, and what all he has done. So, to my mind, his coming back to India would provide investigators with vital information and fill in the gaps that have been existing as far as India's charge sheet or case is concerned. This will strengthen India's case in front of the international community, who can be given a foolproof case as far as 26/11 and Pakistan's involvement is concerned.
Okay. Pinky Anand, I would want you to come in on this, that given that the jury acquitted him there or exonerated him on this charge, on two counts they held him guilty. One, providing material support to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, which he was funding, which is clearly a terrorist organization, and the other on that Danish newspaper attack. But on this particular, he was let off, saying there is not enough evidence to prove his involvement in that. Would that affect his case here in the Indian courts?
Two things, not really.
Okay.
Ultimately, he'll be tried in accordance with Indian law and what is required of Indian law and what would prove his involvement in the whole situation. And two, I think my friend is absolutely right in saying there will be an interrogation which will happen here, and that interrogation could ultimately reveal the missing links, because what is held is not enough evidence in that court. A US court's finding depending on what he's been charged with for whatever offence he's been charged with, would not be binding on an Indian court under the Indian criminal law.
Okay. You say, Captain Bansal, that it could unravel the bigger conspiracy because till now only one person has been tried, and that was Ajmal Amir Kasab, because he was caught alive and he was also a very low-level executioner. He wouldn't be aware of the bigger conspiracy, how, at what level was it hatched. The Indian investigators do have some leads. They've shared it with Pakistan, but Pakistan hasn't cooperated on that. But now with Tahawwur Rana's interrogation here and what he reveals to the Indian investigators, could that establish direct links with, say, Hafiz Saeed or other people within the ISI? Because at that time when the attacks happened, we heard names like Major Sameer, etc. of the ISI who was sitting in the control room and coordinating the operations.
See, there is no doubt that Tahawwur Rana is a much higher level of operative than Ajmal Kasab, who was actually an illiterate poor man who was used by ISI to execute the attack. With Tahawwur Rana, you would get better links. Who sent him to do the recce? What were his links with David Headley? And who in ISI met them? Who was guiding them? What are their linkages with Hafiz Saeed? So there are a lot of facts which are likely to come out once Tahawwur Rana is investigated and interrogated, and that would make a foolproof case as far as Pakistan and ISI's involvement in this 2611 is concerned. And I think that can be presented to the international community to persuade them to impose sanctions or pressurize Pakistan to take action and to probably provide the perpetrators or those who were involved for investigation or interrogation. Because Pakistan till now has tried to say that the evidence given to them has been half-baked and it doesn't really merit any action. But with this sort of a development, with Tahawwur Rana's inputs coming in, I think the India's case will be far more strengthened. It will put Pakistan under tremendous pressure, both from India as well as from the international community, because that would be a clear evidence that Pakistan has been sponsoring terror, and this is, I think, the clearest manifestation of that.
Okay. Pinky Anand, when I asked you the opening question that what legal processes follow, he'll be now interrogated by the NIA. Does he then go to the Mumbai police? Because, the crime happened there. They were the prosecutor. They were the investigating agency.
That is correct. That is correct. And the NIA actually has full authority under the Act to prosecute and to interrogate. But ultimately, the place of jurisdiction being Bombay, that is the normal position, it would be there.
Okay. And also, from a layman's perspective, when you talk to the man on the street, it's been over 16 years that, the attack took place. Will it be fast-tracked? Because people say, when will justice be served in this case?
You are right. Your question is so pertinent. Today we are looking at so many things that have happened and way back, but something which created a complete terror regime in that period and dislodged the whole financial capital of Mumbai, resulting in so much hardship and aggravation and violence to the general city in general. So, question of fast tracking it is almost not to be asked. It will happen. It has to happen because we must complete the process, whatever it is. Of course, we do understand that there are a lot of security risks and other issues involved. But having said that, I think India should do well, considering we've had this extradition come in after several rounds of appeal. Now we must get on and we must finish this entire discussion and the process of the offence being tried in accordance with law.
But Captain Bansal, it will open up a bigger can of worms, because if he reveals names, Pakistan will continue to be in denial. They will not hand over Sajid Mir to you. They will not hand over Hafiz Saeed to you. They will not hand over Hashim to you. There are already names that the Indian investigators know, but they will continue to be in denial. So where does this go? Yes, you've got Tahawwur Hussain Rana. You can try him, convict him, whatever punishment the court gives, serve him that punishment. But beyond actually bringing all the guilty to justice will still remain elusive.
See, it would put Pakistan under tremendous pressure because there will be international pressure which will build up. We will now have a better case to present to the international community. And please understand, Pakistan at this point of time is in a very tight squeeze because textiles, which is the mainstay of their export, has been heavily tariffed by Trump. So their only redeeming factor is EU and the GSP plus status which they have got from European Union. If European Union also places them under certain restrictions, they would be in a serious problem because all this attempt of their economy will go into a tailspin. So they would find it very difficult to withstand that sort of a pressure. They may not still hand over anyone to India, but they would at least have to go through some process of sham trial or something and take actions against these people.
Also, geopolitics has changed. The Americans are out of Afghanistan. They don't need the Pakistanis as much as they did when the Prasar trial was going on. Pinky Anand, my last question to you. The case against Rana is that he was a conspirator in the 2611 case, that he did the recce here. He helped David Coleman Headley by allowing him to use his first world immigration firm, etc. So he was a key conspirator in this. What is the maximum punishment that the Indian courts could award him?
You can get death.
Okay. You could get death. Okay. All right.
You can get.
Okay.
You can get. The maximum is death, but doesn't mean it has to be death.
Okay. So he could get death.
I think here one thing is important. I think India has given a commitment that he will not be hanged. I think is that guarantee we have given it to the US authorities before seeking extradition.
You're right. The punishment is death, but in this case, if you've given a guarantee, we will obviously stand by that.
But Captain Bansal, I want clarity on that again because I am not aware of that. I think the US law itself, they execute. So they don't, it's not a country which doesn't have death penalty like some European countries. So I'm not sure if under the extradition that we've given them.
This was when he had actually appealed in the US court.
Okay.
The two grounds which were taken was that his life would not be there, and he was told he had said that I'll be tortured in Indian jails, and he said Indian jails conditions are not good or something, they're not safe. So government of India had actually assured his safety, and also
no, but after the question is after due process of law, if the court finds him guilty and the sentence commensurate enough to give him a death sentence, have the Indians given any assurance to the Americans that we'll not hang him?
I think so. Whatever I have read, it says that I think there has been an assurance that he will not be eliminated.
Okay. But at least he'll go through the due process of law. So in that
but
sense,
he would get other. See, the point is, I also said I need to ascertain this fact. I'm not sure if such an assurance is given. It stands. If assurance is given, we would obviously stand by that because you can't ultimately back off and you must stay with that. But at the same time, he could get imprisonment for life. That there's no such thing that he would not get that. Just for a moment, if we get into that sphere.
So in that sense, justice could be served. It's a next step towards the closure of the case. Pinky Anand, Captain Alok Bansal, thank you very much for being on the show and unraveling this and decoding this for us. Thank you.